Hello. Just before we start our next episode, we wanted to jump on because we recently, as in last week, aired the guns and gun control episode. And when we released the second snippet, which was yesterday, there was an enormous amount of backlash about a statistic that Jolene mentioned comparing gun deaths to knife deaths. So I'll let you take it from here, Jolene.
Oh, sure. Make me do the apology.
No, I'm happy. No. I feel like it's a team effort because here's the thing. When you had that statistic or when you said that statistic, it was I said, what? And I said, where did you get that? And you said USA Facts. And usually we've got to talkers after every record, we hang up and this happens every time, I go through and review the entire episode, get our resources together, put everything together. And honestly, I'm as equally apologetic, Jolene.
No, you're not.
But I didn't catch it.
Okay, so let me just start by saying I apologize. I apologize to our listener and our viewer because I gave you a statement. I gave a statement. I gave data that I said was true, and I thought it was true, and it was not. It was completely wrong. And so first and foremost, I apologize for saying that there were more stabbing deaths, there were more deaths due to stabbings in the United States than there were from gun-related deaths, which is not true. There are more gun deaths. And if I could just explain what I think happened, and I went back through my notes and where I came up with the information. And I think if you take out that 53% or 55%, oh shoot, now I don't even know, of deaths from guns are suicide. And I think the article that I was citing took those numbers out and then tried to compare. Even when you do that, that statement is still not true. So first and foremost, I apologize. And I think it's really important to apologize because I want you to be able to trust what we're saying. I know what we're doing here is hard, and to have, as we are dear friends, having tough conversations where we know that we don't agree with the other person. But that's the whole intent of this, is that we can trust what each other says because we have respect for each other. So I want you to be able to respect what we're saying in these podcasts. So I apologize. Please accept my apology for giving you information that was not true. Now, it was my fault. So, so you keep your mouth shut.
But all to say, we all do it. And I think what's really important is that Jolene and I are not journalists. We are not pundits. We are friends trying to have really difficult conversations. We will do better when we start spewing off statistics, because we, as you said to me the other day, we're not trying to do fake news here. We are trying to really unravel and connect with each other. We're asking you all to also do this in your own way with your friends and your family and people that you don't agree with. We are human and we all make mistakes. And the most important thing here at We've Got to Talk is that we give each other grace. We love each other. If we knew you, we'd love you too. And we'd give you grace because we all make mistakes. And I don't think we do that enough in the society these days. And I think it's really, really important to also just acknowledge when you do make a mistake and take responsibility for that, because I really like that in a person.
I agree. And I also think that, as we are trying to have a conversation with each other and trying to set an example and maybe trying to start a movement where others are doing the same, I think it's important for us to realize that in conversations, we don't fact check each other. When you have a conversation with a friend, whether you're having a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and you're having a conversation, you have to trust what that other person is saying, because that's how a conversation goes. And Nicole, you've always done such a good job of saying to me, where did you get that? And so I've learned to not just, spew something that I've heard someone say on Twitter or X.
Right.
Like I have to be able to back it up. And so I think you've made me accountable for things that I say, which again goes to having a really good dialogue with someone, is being able to not just repeat something that you've heard from your biased news source, but to be able to say, no, I looked at the stats and I know this to be true. Because as we have said so many times, a lot of the information that we're fed is just to continue to propagate this, this narrative that one side or the other is really trying to push. So,
Absolutely.
I think that's the other thing that we're trying to do.
Yes, and paying attention to the media, paying attention to the algorithms, understanding that a lot of people will see one snippet and they will say, that's the truth. And we are trying to encourage each other as friends and you all as community members to get curious. And if you don't agree with someone, you don't have to yell at them. You don't have to say, prove it to me. Just say, well, can we all look it up together and see what you're getting and see what I'm getting? Because then it really is an enlightening experience when you do that. It not only empowers you, it empowers the person you're speaking to, and it makes you more, and it might sound corny, but more as teammates than as enemies and trying to figure this out together.
Yeah. So I would also like to say thank you to the people that pointed out that I was wrong. With that, getting that feedback we say it at the end of every podcast. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you agree. Let us know if you think differently. And so I really appreciate people. I mean, some of you didn't have to be so mean about it, but I do appreciate letting us know when we screw things up in a kind and gentle manner, as friends would. So that, because that shows us that you are interested in what we're talking about, and that you have an interest in what's going on and this dialogue that's going along. So we appreciate it. We really do. We really do.
And thank you very much for continuing to listen and watch. And we hope you will enjoy this upcoming episode on censorship. She's a conservative and I'm liberal, and yet we've been friends for almost 40 years. Everyone says you shouldn't discuss politics, religion, or money, and we say that's exactly what friends should be talking about. Join us as we tackle the conversations you're having in your head, but are too scared to say out loud.
Let's talk about censorship.
Yes, let's talk about censorship.
So much has happened. I feel like we say that every week.
But it seems like it's true.
As we have developed, as we've kind of gone from the Charlie Kirk memorial, I think that's really kind of when we started to talk about what else is going on in the world. And that's when Trump, I mean, can I just first say,
please,
the memorial I thought was...
Oh, gosh.
Was such a great, it was so beautiful. And the fact that we had so many from the administration there and the cabinet members, and it was such a beautiful ceremony. It was a beautiful memorial for Charlie Kirk. And the fact they pulled it off in 7 days was great. And had it ended after Erica Kirk got up and said, I forgive the shooter. These are my Christian values, and I know that's what Charlie would want, and no matter how hard it is. Had it ended right there, gosh, we would have all gone out into the world going, okay, there is hope, there is hope. But I'll be damned if Trump didn't get up there and just talk like Trump does. And this is the thing that I do not like about him. And you know that I am on the Trump wagon once again.
Once again, or for the first time?
Well, I keep getting off of the train.
You keep falling off the wagon and then getting back on.
And then I get back on, and I walk around a little bit at the train station, and then I get back on. I go, wait, no, wait, I'll get back on. And then we go a little bit further down the road, and I'm like, nope, I need a break. I got to get off. I need to go get a coffee. And so I get off the train again. And so anyway, I'm like, dude, stick to the script. Stick to the script. Somebody has written a really beautiful thing for you. Please. And God, he goes off, and you're like, read the room. You're losing it. People have been here for 5 hours now, or 4 hours, and you're saying things that don't have anything to do with why we're all watching this. And so it bugs me. He's such a narcissist that he can't help himself.
Well, I mean, first of all, we had been recording a podcast that day, and I guess you had watched part of the memorial and then finished watching it, and
Right.
I didn't see any of it. I heard clips. I heard about Erica's speech, and how she forgave the shooter, and how elegant and heart forward she was. And even in liberal media, they were reporting it that way.
Yeah.
And then how Trump got up there, and I remember texting you saying, whoa, 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 whoa. He's saying, like, I'm not like Charlie. I hate my opponents, or I can't remember the exact phrasing.
Yeah.
But it was like, and he kept saying, I'm sorry. And people are never sorry when they say things like that. Like, they're not sorry. They just know that what they're saying is so outlandish that they have to say, I'm sorry, so that it sounds less outlandish, and yet it was outlandish. But we're talking about censorship today, and whether it means what went on with Kimmel, what's going on with the press, what's going on with, we could make it an even broader statement about, like, which Jolene and you and I have talked about in so many episodes thus far, that we are really more than, like, strongly encouraging you to stop getting mad at the other side. What you are seeing, it's a form of censorship. They are only editing what they want you to see. You are not seeing everything, right? That to me is a part of the censorship problem, is that I see 3 minutes of this speech and 6 minutes of that speech, whatever is going to make my liberal brain react. That's what I'm getting fed, and vice versa with you. What you're getting fed. Like, I can't say it enough. We have so much to talk about today, and I want to give shout outs to people who are, whether they are the right or the left, that are stepping up and speaking through the noise, really understanding what's going on here. Why don't you start, Jolene, with the Jimmy Kimmel controversy, if you will? I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. Do you watch Jimmy Kimmel?
I used to. Probably 10 years ago. That would be part of our bedtime routine, watch the news, and then go into Jimmy Kimmel.
And Jimmy Kimmel was your person versus
yes,
the
of
others.
all the exactly. Of all the late night shows, he was the one that we would watch. But then it just got to be, probably within the last 5 years, it got to be so political, and he was so just so anti-Republican that it wasn't funny anymore, and it wasn't enjoyable to watch. And so we would either turn it off, or, I mean, let's be honest, now if I can stay up till 10:30 is a miracle. So we usually turn it off before the end of the news even. So I used to be a Jimmy Kimmel fan because I thought he was funny and had good stuff, and Guillermo was his guy, and they had the shtick, and blah blah blah. But when it got so political, I'm like, nah, I'm done. But it's the same thing that I've done with Saturday Night Live. I mean, like, used to be a big Saturday Night Live watcher, and then when Trump won the first time, they got so liberal and so anti-Trump that it was like, nah, I'm not going to watch anymore because it wasn't funny. I wish that comedians were funny again, and these late night shows, whether it be SNL or the talk shows, I wish that they would find things that were funny again instead of all of it being political.
Because I think that they've always, made fun of whomever is in the administration. I think it's just gotten really ugly and maybe mean, and why you feel, as a conservative, alienated.
But even if they were, there were so many SNL skits about Biden.
Oh, you didn't like it? You didn't like any of it? Any of the political stuff?
Maybe it's just easier. Maybe it's easier and they're lazy, and so it's easier to just write about politics because that's going to get people revved up instead of really trying to find something funny.
But I always remember on SNL didn't Dana Carvey do George W?
Yeah.
And
but yes, and that used to be a part of it, right?
Right.
I mean, there
but
would
it wasn't
be some
the
of those
whole thing,
skits.
is what you're saying.
Correct.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
Did you have you watched? I mean, have you watched?
I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch any of the late night shows. Sometimes I watch John Oliver every once in a while, and it just kind of makes me upset. So if you don't watch Jimmy Kimmel, as I don't, I am guessing you did not watch the monologue live, the ones that he got into trouble for.
Right. Didn't see it.
Did you see the monologue last night when he came back on the air?
No, didn't watch it. And conscientiously did not watch it.
I didn't either, and then I did this morning.
You watched the whole thing? I just saw snippets of it.
Well, and this is the problem, in my opinion. Okay?
Yeah.
So, a couple things. In terms of what he said that Monday night, where he said the MAGA gang is trying to blame...
Make this look like it's somebody who is not their own.
Thank you. It was the way they said it, the way he said it, the way maybe the writer's room said it, whoever wrote this monologue, whoever said that, it was such a vague statement that you're like, what are you talking about? Because part of it, Joe, I have so many thoughts. I was in Utah the day that Charlie Kirk was killed. I was 45 minutes north. And the way Utah was reporting it was the clearest I've ever heard it. They were really clear about, first of all, who they didn't know who it was. And then when they caught this kid, they said his parents were Republican. He grew up LDS. This kid has never been registered. He's never voted. Like, they were just like telling the facts. They weren't immediately like the rest of the world. He did it. No, he did it. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault. Then I come back to real world New York, whatever, and people are like, no, it's the crazy left that killed him. Them. I'm like, no, it's this kid that's totally sick. The kid did it. Like, okay, yes, there are bullets and all the things, but everything is speculation. And this kid has been, as the Utah authorities have said, completely uncooperative. Will not say anything. His partner that is being, outed left and right as a trans person in the Utah media is saying this person has been the most cooperative and in complete shock that their partner did this. So, I'm hearing this, and then Jimmy Kimmel says this really weird, vague statement, and I'm like, well, the right didn't do it. Liberal person's going, I didn't even go the right to, I just was like, what does that mean? That doesn't make any sense. But it was vague enough that the right, the partisan, like hyper, meaning the media, oh my God, that's what he meant. He's blaming it on us, like we would do it. And it just became this huge finger pointing thing. What did you think, Joe? Like, did you interpret it the way a lot of the right was interpreting it, or did you understand what he was saying? Just breaking down that first comment.
You're right that it was kind of convoluted.
Yeah.
But it was that, the fact that he said the MAGA group is trying to paint this as anybody else but their own.
Right.
So he was trying to say this is a MAGA person, and they're trying everything that they can to paint it as something other than their own.
Right, and I'm watching it, and
thing.
Well, it didn't make any sense because the kid wasn't
but
MAGA.
It's also, Right. I mean, right.
And to me, it was like, oh my gosh, as the liberal, I was like, what are you doing? Stop.
Right.
Stop. Just stop.
When I heard something like that, though, I'm like, okay, number one, I come in with a preconceived notion that anything that Jimmy Kimmel is going to say is going to be from the left and is going to be, inflammatory and, whatever. So when I hear, the headline is he's, been put on leave or whatever the term was, and they show the thing, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And it didn't shock me. Because I just know that he has anti-right rhetoric. So you're like, okay.
You didn't think pulling him off the air? What about free speech?
No. So I did think pulling him off the air was a big deal. Like he's done something incriminating enough that they've pulled him off the air. So then it gets into the whole free speech thing. Can you say these things? And my question from the very beginning, though, was it ABC or was it the local affiliates that were going, this is the straw that broke the camel's back? Like, we're tired of him insulting half of America. So this was the last straw. Kind of like, we can go back to Megyn Kelly. Had her show on NBC, and she makes a reference about, do you remember this? It was at Halloween time, and she goes, I don't get if it's racist to be a white person in blackface or a black person in whiteface. I don't understand if you're dressing up in a costume, why that is seen as offensive. And people went, wow. And she got canceled. She got fired. So it's like, was she on the verge of getting canceled, or was her show not doing well anyway? Or, all the other things that you think, are we getting the whole story here? And does somebody want to make this the issue? Like, that's the issue that was the comment that got Jimmy Kimmel suspended, or that is the comment that got Megyn Kelly fired. But was it really? Were there other things that led up to that, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back?
Well, I think it's really interesting that it happened, because now all of us are sort of on the left and the right are on high alert about, well, what is free speech? What is censorship? What is hate speech? And I'll tell you, Miss Jolene, I have listened to a lot of conservatives this week, and I can't wait to tell you about it.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear it.
And partially is because you were like, well, did you hear what Pam Bondi said? And I was like, huh? So, I had my first dip into the Katie Miller podcast.
I don't know who Katie Miller is.
Well, oh my gosh. She is Stephen Miller's wife, and she has a podcast.
Oh, okay.
And Pam Bondi went on that podcast, and this is where she got into trouble. And she says, we will absolutely target people for hate speech. Hate speech is not free speech. And people went wild. Mm-hmm. Because you're getting... So now what is also happening is you have all these people of power saying stuff that isn't true, but then people are believing them. And so everyone is getting... Everyone who's not a constitutional scholar is getting confused. So what is that? And so what... Yeah. I also listened to The Verdict, the podcast that Ted Cruz hosts.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Didn't know that.
Uh-huh. And he was thrilled that Kimmel was off the air. He hates him. He thinks he's not funny. But he said hate speech is free speech. And he is, like, that's his... he was a constitutional clerk. Like, that's his jam. So he says, if government gets involved, that is incredibly dangerous. And so one thing that I wanted to bring up was that I think because of, like, us getting slammed, us meaning Americans, getting slammed from the right and the left with all these clips all day on social media, however we get our bits of news. And everything is edited just so. And so I am hearing this really convoluted Kimmel, statement. Why? And then he gets pulled off the air. Oh, you know what? Let me start with this. So today, I was like, how are we tackling this? And I Googled, what did Jimmy Kimmel do wrong? And I want to shout out to Fox News 9 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, this reporter Amy Hockert, and she interviewed a professor at the University of Minnesota. She's the director of media ethics and law at the center at the University of Minnesota. It explains the First Amendment so clearly and civilly and in a respectful, nonpartisan way. I was shocked. Because still, even doing this podcast 8 months in and looking at Fox every once in a while, I was like, this is a responsible reporter. She didn't lean any way. She just was like, can you please explain how this works? And she talked about the FCC, and she talked about the local affiliates. And I'm going to put this link in the show notes so that you all can understand what's going on. Because there's so many moving parts, and why would we know? This is not our specialty.
Right.
We live our life, right? And then every moment we're getting hit with a new controversy, and so all of a sudden you and I are trying to actually learn about it, or you just go on with your day and you make these decisions like, oh, he leans left, he's a jerk, forget him, blah, blah, blah. Or, oh my God, my free speech, blah, blah, blah. And then you go on with your day, right? And so to say, I was with you, Joe, that I was kind of annoyed by the whole thing. I was like, I can't believe they've pulled him off the air, but I totally didn't understand his comments. And then they're putting him back on the air, and that he was going back on last night. And I chose, like you, actually, not to see it. I was like, I can't be bothered. Well, so this morning I decided, you know what? We're doing this episode. I need to inform myself. And I'm going to put this in the show notes because, Jolene, this monologue is, I think, 18 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I am so angry because both the right and the left only cut out baby clips that could prove their point. And they forgot. That makes me so mad, Joe. They cut out, he said, I think I wrote down the timestamp. So for you guys that just want to fast forward, I think it's at 4:49 for 2 minutes, 4:49 to 6:25. Jimmy Kimmel says, I also want to thank all the people that don't agree with me. He shouted out to Ben Shapiro, to Candace Owens, to Ted Cruz, to Clay Travis, who I had to look up, Mitch McConnell, and Rand Paul for speaking up for free speech. That you don't have to like what I say, but thank you for speaking up for that. And I'm thinking, why isn't that making the news?
Right. Holy cow. I had not heard that till right now.
Holy cow. And then, they highlighted that he cried, that he didn't mean it to be about Charlie Kirk's murder. I think some highlighted that he, said Erica Kirk was how we should all learn from her example. But he said he has a lot of friends that are on the other side and he loves them. And that he understands that the murderer doesn't represent the right, that this was a sick individual who caused this violent act, and that he doesn't believe that violence is ever the answer. And none of this was ever highlighted in any clip I ever saw. And so it just
I did see that part.
You did see that part? Okay. So it just made me think, what are we doing here? Like, what is happening?
So he was put back on the air. However, two of the affiliates, Nexstar and Sinclair Media, did not put him back on the air.
That's right. That's right.
Which I think they represented like 23% of the ABC viewing area.
Yeah, it says 30 markets, which is a lot of the South and Midwest, but I heard Portland, Salt Lake City, 20% of the country, 23% of the country he's not going back on the air, which I feel like is a total shame because it's just another way to divide us.
Okay, so then I go back to, was this just the straw that broke the camel's back? Because, and no offense to camels, but is this really, was that part of, sorry.
So you're saying like these affiliates that they're like, ugh, we don't want him on the air
like
anyway.
his ratings were down. Yes.
Well, check it out,
And
girl.
So
Jolene, his ratings, I mean, who knows how long it'll last, but they are through the roof. It's 4 times. For last night.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Because everybody wanted to see what he was going to say.
Of course.
And I get that. But Jimmy Kimmel's show has 650,000 fewer viewers than Stephen Colbert, who's also been canceled. I look at this then from a business perspective and go, well, wait a second. If I'm trying to sell advertising during this time slot and the viewerships are going down further and further and further, and like you, a lot of people aren't watching networks anymore, right? I mean, people are streaming and they're not paying to watch, they'd rather pay for streaming than to pay for broadcast television. So when the FCC chairman, is he the FCC chairman?
Yeah, Brendan Carr.
Came out and kind of said, well, we could do it the easy way or the hard way. And you're like, again, I go back.
Ted Cruz called him a mafioso.
Why did you even say that?
Ted Cruz called him a mafioso.
That's from Goodfellas.
Yes.
Right. I mean, that's a line from, like, why would you say that?
But Jolene, so here's a question for you. Is it concerning to you that that's the reason that he said something they don't like, so they pull him off?
So that's what I'm saying. I don't think Sinclair and Nexstar have chosen not to continue to air him because of that comment. I think this was their opportunity to say half of America doesn't like this show anymore. We're not going, and this is something for us to then say, nope, we don't even want to air it. So is that a message? I mean, is that a message to Hollywood then? Like, if you're going to have such partisan commentary or partisan dialogues or monologues, then we're just not interested anymore. Like, that's not good TV for us.
But he should be allowed to say what he wants to say.
Well, then you go into broadcast networks or
that with
streaming,
the licensing,
Right. So if you want to say that stuff, be like Megyn Kelly or Bill Maher or, whoever your guy is that you watch on HBO. You can go and say those things on those networks. You can't do it on.
But we've always been able to say, other than swearing, where people get fined on the FCC, I would be paying so many fines.
Oh my gosh, we'd be canceled.
But
I would stand up for you, though.
Thank you, doll. But the FCC usually, in the past, swearing has been a thing, but comedians are allowed to be comedians. So this is, to me, where it starts to get into tricky waters when an administration, I know they get picked on a lot, and I know he doesn't have a thick skin. And he doesn't like being picked on. I mean, who does?
You're talking about Trump?
I'm talking about Trump.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he can choose not to watch it, too. I do hear your point, but I just feel like we're getting into real tricky waters here.
I would agree. And when he came out and he said, well, I don't think anybody that says anything bad about the president should be allowed to say that. Again, Trump, you're doing so many good things.
Oh, boy.
Dude, you're doing a lot of good things. Just stick to the script and do the things. I would not butter his muffin at all. No, I would not. No, just do the things that you're really good at doing and quit all this other crap. But he's such a narcissist that he can't. But now what has the right done? The right is now comparing this to, wait a second, liberals, you didn't like it when we were talking about the vaccine and being an anti-vaxxer and saying, ivermectin was okay and blah, blah, blah. And so now the right is bringing up the whole legal battle that was between the Biden administration and Google and Facebook and YouTube. that we were being silenced, all of the posts that were taken down and people that were actually blocked. And that's when Elon bought Twitter and the whole deal. So, like, Democrats didn't like free speech then, but now they're all about the free speech.
There was a really good opinion piece. Do you know we've talked about the Builders Movement, buildersmovement.org. I'll put them in the show notes. They're really wonderful, you guys. They are a bipartisan, let's figure this out, equal Republicans and Democrats working together to turn down the noise. And there was a really great opinion piece today about censorship. I'm just going to read a little bit. It says, both sides have used political power to shut down what they don't like. Quote, my side equals freedom, your side equals oppression. That kind of framing turns free speech into partisan tug of war instead of a shared value, which I thought was really interesting because both sides do it. And when we start to actually take responsibility for that, and, liberals could say, well, we didn't want that information out because we were afraid it would spread COVID or it was going to hurt you. So say it. So say that. Just be honest. Say it. I mean, you could not like it, but at least we'd have a discussion instead of everybody's like, there's just these, like, it doesn't matter. It's the right or the left. You're pulling strings like a puppet for what works for you. And, this is free speech, but this isn't free speech. It's all free speech. But I get what gets concerning is when the government starts, and it's so interesting, Jolene, like this government truly doesn't feel very Republican. I don't know what you would call it because they're up in everybody's business, whether it's, and I don't know if you feel that way, but like, I don't want the government deciding what I can and can't watch on television. I don't want the government telling me what I can't eat or can't. They're in our business. Do you feel that way? They're in our streets. They're in.
No.
Did you see the thing about, speaking of censorship, did you see over the weekend Pete Hegseth announcing that the press has access to the Pentagon, different news affiliates, and pre this administration, the press had free reign to walk around the Pentagon and ask questions and see what was going on. And just over the weekend, Pete Hegseth announced that the Pentagon is demanding that journalists sign a pledge that they are no longer allowed to even report on unclassified information without it being okayed. And if they don't sign the pledge, they don't get to go into the Pentagon. Now this, to me, is something I think that you and I could really agree is quite dangerous because this is our U.S. military and we, the people, need to understand what's going on there, and it can't be the secret. What do you think about that? I got that from The Guardian, and I'll put that in the show notes.
If that's the black and white of it right there, what's the justification for that? And has that ever been done before? is this, again, you tell me something like that, and I think, okay, well, what's the entirety of the clip, or or has this always been done in the past and they're just highlighting it? That's how I look at things now because, as we've learned,
they just announced
not
this
everything
last
is
weekend.
what it says,
right?
And if that's true, no, that sounds scary to me. But I'd like to know more about it before I comment on it. But you asked me before that. How do I feel about the government being all up in our business, telling us what to eat and telling us being in our streets and what we can watch on TV? I think this is where we have that fine line between the role of the government is to protect its citizens. And so when you say, do I like it that they're in our streets? If we're sending in help, and whether that be National Guard or into Chicago, oh my gosh, I would absolutely want that. I know when it happened in Washington, D.C., you said, are you for that? And I said, yeah. I mean, when you're in these really high crime areas where crime is just rampant and nothing can be done about it, and they're letting, criminals be criminals, we've got to do something. And so is that the role of the government?
But to put in military.
Well, who else would they? I mean, would they take a police department from Kimberling City, Missouri, and go into Chicago? I mean, do they have? I don't know who else could you do to help that out?
First of all, I would like Congress to step up and start doing their job. Period.
Yes.
Right. So this is part of the problem, that if the Congress was like, we need to deal with crime, it wasn't all just Trump saying, this is the executive order, I'm sending this in, we're pulling, Brendan Carr says, we're going to do this the easy way or the hard way. I don't like what that guy said, I'm going to pull him off the air. And then the next thing Trump does is like, good for you, ABC. And I'm like, what is happening?
Okay, so Congress can make laws, but the problems, so what these criminals are doing is still criminal. They've made a law that says you can't shoot somebody, but they're still doing it. So I'm not really sure at what that would do to help the crime in Chicago right now, right? So they need extra help, right? I mean, that's not a law that should be written. That is, we are, as prosecutors, either don't have enough manpower to allow these criminals to be taken off the street and keep them in jail, or we've got overcrowded jails, or we don't have people that have enough time or manpower to prosecute them and keep them in jails.
But
that, I think, is the problem.
Okay, this administration uses the state rights when it's convenient for them, and then uses its federal power when it's convenient for them. Meaning, why can't Illinois deal with it? Why is it Trump's business? Okay, all right.
So let's go back to your original question was, are we okay with the government being all up in our business, telling us what we should eat and what we should watch, and being in our streets to keep us safe? And my answer as the conservative is that, yes, I think that putting military into areas that are crime-ridden is the role of the government and should be. I think not telling us what to eat, but being able to wade through some of the, as we have talked about, the pharmaceutical and the food industry that has weaseled their way into our government and has allowed some really bad choices to be developed even into this is healthy for you, or this is good for you. I mean, the food pyramid, was developed how many years ago? And
right.
And really, those things, I think that is the role of the government to say, no, the information that we have been given as a society for so long that we've just accepted it, and that really we can push back and say, no, that there is science and there is evidence and there is information that is contrary to what we've been told. And let's be able to get that story out too. So you as an individual can make that choice for you. And I think that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, that what they're trying to do, whether it's the MAGA movement or the MAHA movement or whatever, we want to make sure that we're giving you another piece of information so that you as an individual can make that choice for yourself.
Are we in agreement that Brendan Carr's threat was
overreaching?
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree.
I guess I want to understand, or have our viewer or listener understand, I think we're on the same page, that we want to be able
yes,
to...
I would agree.
To say what we want to say and not be punished for our views.
To a degree, because I think that the things that have come out, the conversations that I've been hearing since the Jimmy Kimmel incident is, should you have consequences to your rhetoric and your actions, or should you be canceled? And I think that we would all agree that cancel culture was rampant 5 years ago, and it was horrible. And, we both have said, that's not the way to have discussions, is just to cancel people. And that was one of the things that Charlie Kirk had talked about was, no, have a discussion with somebody and not just cancel them. And that's exactly what they did with Jimmy Kimmel. However, are there consequences to your actions? Was this a business decision by those ABC affiliates to say, we don't want to take this kind of rhetoric anymore. We're not going to air this show because it is not a good business decision for us.
Well, how do you feel about him being back on the air?
I think it's fine. I think I'm not sure that he actually apologized. I think from what you said, from what I've seen, like his monologue, that his monologue was great and said the things that we all would hope that he would say. I mean, it sounds like he did that. Again, not having listened to the whole thing, I don't know. And so, yeah, we're a forgiving nation. We are big on forgiveness. And so,
it doesn't feel like it
isn't
these
that the
days.
Christian thing to do? I hope that the Erica Kirk forgiveness is the banner to which we can all live from now on. Let's forgive people and move on, and let's not riot.
Well, also, the non-Christians out there, we believe in forgiveness too.
Yes, I would agree. I think there's been so much around this, the talk of being a Christian and Christians forgive and all that. And I truly believe that. But I also believe that our God is a lot bigger than the religion that you adhere to. I think God still loves you, Nicole. And as even though that you're not a Christian or you don't proclaim that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, I know there are Christian religions that would not agree with me, and I understand that, and those are your values. I get that, and I love that you believe that. It's just personally, it's not what I think. I think God is so much bigger than the religions that we have, as humans, have put together. And I think people who are not religious or don't go to church, I think they still have it in their hearts to be forgiving and loving, and that they can get to heaven. Oh my gosh, if that gets me canceled, sorry. I mean, there are Christians who don't believe that.
Oh, I know. There are Jews that don't believe it.
And I love you all too.
There are Muslims that don't believe it. All of these religions have their own set of rules of who's getting into heaven and who's not. It's really been so prevalent because of the Charlie Kirk assassination. And it bothers me. And I think it makes it hard for us to have these discussions and create this community when I feel like people that are Christian, some Christians will say, well, that's the Christian way, or that, this is our Christian nation, or this is, and what it does, it makes those of us that aren't Christian feel really alienated. And it hurts our feelings because we're good too. And we forgive too. And we love you too. And we respect that you believe what you believe. I've never said don't believe it, but I'm asking you to, the next time you say that or write that on a comment, that understand that you are alienating that other person instead of welcoming them into your circle. Mm-hmm. And also welcoming them into their circle. I'm asking you, it's a big ask, to welcome me or whomever into your circle and let us be who we are and love us because of it. I love you because of it.
That's exactly what Jesus did. Jesus hung out with the prostitutes and the tax collectors and that's what, and so, I mean, for us to say that we're only going to hang out with other Christians and those are the only ones getting to heaven, that's not what Jesus thought. So,
I mean, I studied this stuff in college, and he seemed like a good dude. I don't know if that gets me canceled, but he seemed like a good dude. I might not think he's the Lord and Savior, but I thought he was a good dude. I have a couple good for the souls. This happened September 4th on C-SPAN. it seemed to be completely not hot news, but to me it's super hot news. So, Representative Chip Roy, a Republican, and Representative AOC, a Democrat, co-wrote or co-sponsored the Restore Trust in Congress Act. And it is a bipartisan bill that I'm so excited to tell you all about, that is about a congressional stock trading ban. Getting Congress to stop trading their stocks. First of all, it's a great idea, and it's a really great clip to see how friendly and friends Chip Roy, Republican, AOC, Democrat, are friends and are so excited to write this bill and get it passed, because they really deeply believe that we should trust our Congress again, and that we need to stop trading stocks. How do you feel about that, Joe?
I cannot believe it. I mean, you and I talked about this one time.
Yeah.
And so the fact, like, it was just like, so, like, of course they shouldn't.
Right.
And so
it's exciting,
the fact
right?
that they did it. And when you sent me that clip and you see that AOC is talking with Chip Roy, and you're like,
and they're like chummy,
like,
and he's like,
I'm sorry,
she's like
what
touching his
planet are we
arm,
in?
and like, yeah,
I
hey,
know. We're going out for drinks afterwards.
That's right.
With
That's
my
right.
bae here.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. And then I
loved it.
I found another interesting interview with Chip Roy on CNBC that I'll also put in the show notes. He is being interviewed about the congressional stock trading ban, and also about the United States government stake in Intel, which I thought, the company Intel, which, Jolene, you've got to see this interview.
Oh, yeah.
It's really great.
Okay.
And
All right.
he's so your kind of Republican.
Okay.
I think you're going to dig it. And I have to say that watching it, I was impressed. I was very impressed. I was like, all right, another person
Love it.
that is a stand-up dude that I can keep my eye on. And shout out Chip Roy and AOC. Do you have any good for the souls today?
I do. I know we've highlighted this before, this email that I get, the Progress Network.
Oh, yes.
I think it's weekly, and it's What Could Go Right. This was today's, and it's 3 transformative trends you won't see in the news. The electro-tech age has begun. I've never heard of electro-tech, didn't know what it is.
Yes.
It's something that we obviously should know. Have you ever heard of electro-tech?
No. What is it?
They're saying it's the first industrial revolution. For the shift is electrotech revolution. It's a combination of renewable energy, electrification, and AI that unlocks energy abundance at a scale that we've never seen before. And of course, China's already doing it. They're the first electro state. Its massive electrotech production has already allowed emerging markets to leapfrog the global north in terms of electrification. So that was interesting. Their second thing, though, is the world's poor have become richer and child poverty is bending downward. So that's
exciting.
another really good article that is exciting. And the last one was mobile money accounts are growing like crazy. And they talked about, we all hate our iPhones, and the demise of our society is our mobile phones. But they're saying that in East Africa, the telecommunications company are allowing accounts for people to receive money via text. So, think Venmo. But it's allowing them to get paid, people that maybe would not have access to a bank account, but it's allowing them to receive government benefits and loans to borrow cash from friends and family. And 40% of adults in sub-Saharan Africa and nearly the same in Latin America and the Caribbean have a mobile money account now. Isn't that crazy?
That's great.
So there. I know. Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Well, good.
All
for
right.
Good for your soul.
A little good for
not
your soul.
all things are bad.
No. All right. I'm going to hit you with a would you rather.
Give it to me, girly.
Would you rather be stuck in traffic but find a perfect parking spot, or never be stuck in traffic but always take forever to park?
Oh, gosh, no. Not the second one.
So you don't mind being stuck in traffic and getting the perfect...
Well, traffic in this area is like there's a farmer who's got a slow combine going down the road. Like, that's traffic around here. So, I mean, I don't really think that's an issue around here.
You don't really have a
I
lot
don't
of
have to deal
traffic.
with it. I think, though, that there are times when you're in traffic that... Now, I know that traffic... I keep hearing that traffic in New York is so bad right now when the UN...
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's bad always, but it's really bad right now.
It's, like, horrible.
Yeah.
But I've always thought like being in traffic is sometimes just an opportunity. I mean, unless you're late for somewhere and you got to be somewhere, you're going to miss your flight or something like that. Obviously, that's bad. But then it's sometimes an opportunity to listen to music or listen to the radio or listen to a podcast that maybe you wouldn't get to listen to.
That's true.
I don't know.
That's true.
Trying to find the good in it. I don't know.
But you also are someone that clearly doesn't sit in traffic very often.
That's true. No, that is exactly. I'm going, oh, yeah, you're stuck in traffic.
I mean, the traffic in the Bay Area, traffic in New York, it's bananas. It's so crazy. And I really feel for people that have, like long commutes anyway, and then are stuck in traffic. It's just, whew. Yeah, I guess you put on a podcast. I mean, I take the subway, and I walk around, and I put on a podcast, so that's what I do. I put on our podcast.
Yeah. All right.
We've got to talk.
Oh,
all right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jolene, and thank you,
dear
viewer, for listening and watching. And please do us a favor and like and subscribe and share the podcast. We are creating a community here at We've Got to Talk, and we are welcoming you all, the conservatives, the liberals, the believers, and the non-believers, all together. Right, Jolene?
And everything in between. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. We've Got to Talk is produced across the world by the wildly talented, creative, and hilarious team at Bambi Media. Our theme song is Jump Jive Swing by Space Train Unlimited. Thank you so much for listening, and join us every week for another episode of We've Got to